This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 511 for the week of Monday, March 19th, 2018. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And on today's show, we have very special guest, translator for One Piece in Weekly Shonen Jump. We have Stephen Paul with us. How's it going, Stephen?
Hey, pretty good. We're finally getting some spring weather around here.
Thank you for your California weather update corner. Sam, Sam, how's it doing in Minnesota today?
The snow is starting to melt.
Sam is Sam Leach. He's also a writer for Anime News Network and our Anime Recap host. And last but certainly not least, we have another very special guest here today with us. He is Godswill Ugra, and he is a social media coordinator at Funimation. How's it going, Godswill?
It's going real good over here. Also sunny in Texas.
Nice. So we've got two sunny and at least two not sunny. I assume Chicago is still somewhat, depressing at the moment. Ed, is that correct?
I mean, I wore shorts this weekend, but I'm not sure if it was appropriate.
Yeah, it never is, but you wear it.
It was 50 degrees, come on.
So, today's episode of the One Piece Podcast, we have Chapter 889. We have a manga recap for that. We are approaching the 900th chapter of One Piece, believe it or not. We also have an anime recap this week. Sam, what is it for?
That is for episode 828, The Deadly Pact, Luffy and Bedge's Allied Forces.
Nice. We're getting into the really good stuff here with the anime. These are some of my favorite storylines.
I have opinions.
Cool. I like it when Ed has opinions. We also have Piece Together, and we'll round off, as usual, with some trivia. But before we get into that, I want to remind everyone out there to please support us on Patreon at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. We just, I think today or yesterday, I checked like a couple days ago, and we were not over the $1,000 threshold, but we are now. So this week we'll have some cool exclusives. I think I owe everyone a February episode anyway, so we'll have that. Alex and Steve Eat One Piece episode 2 should be out there this week. I know I've been promising that for a while. And hopefully some other little goodies will be there as well. So please join us there at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. There's a lot of other cool news out there. Steve, I'll start with you. There's a Viz release that is coming out. And I know you're excited about it.
Yeah, so just when was that? Yeah, yesterday maybe, within the last 2 days, they released the cover for the upcoming Color Walk Compendium, which contains Color Walks 1 through 3, and I believe they're using the lion cover that was Color Walk 3 as the illustration on the cover of the book. But that's cool, and it certainly makes it feel more real as we're getting closer to that release date. But I won't really. I don't think you're really going to feel it until you see it as a hardcover. For like the full deluxe effect, because that's when it will. The glory of this release will really become apparent. I feel like, and I'm really looking forward to that.
I love luxury deluxe One Piece.
Oh yeah.
Great. But it makes sense that they've used the Color Walk 3 cover because that's the only one they haven't released in English before.
Well, it could have been 4 or 5, right? That's what's included, 3, 4, and 5?
No, it's 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, right, it's 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I forgot. I, for some reason, was thinking they were picking it up from where they left off, but it very clearly states East Blue to Skypiea. So yeah, great on them for using the lion one. So that's going to be coming out on July 3rd. It contains 312 pages worth of content from chapters 1 through chapters 284, and including the volume covers 1 through 30 to kind of give you an idea of the timeline there. Right now, I think it's retailing on Amazon for just around $40, but I would keep an eye on that.
Lock in that pre-order.
Lock in the pre-order because you get, what is it, the low price guarantee or whatever that is.
Happy birthday, America. Have some One Piece. This is the manga. AUSA.
Yeah, that's true. God, I forgot about that New York Times thing too. So yeah, pick that up. It's gonna be cool. And Stephen, I know you've did some translations for that as well, the interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I translated the third one, which obviously had not been released in English, and I had already done the second Color Walk interview because that was the very first One Piece related thing that I ever did with Viz, and I I gave them a few notes. It's kind of funny because the very first one is the interview between Oda and Akira Toriyama, and they talk about some Dragon Ball stuff. And clearly, it's like whoever was working on it back whenever they released that originally, they weren't really going through a very stringent, editing process, because there's a bunch of like Dragon Ball references where it's like, okay, this isn't actually what they call these characters in the English release. So we should have tidied up some of that stuff at least, but otherwise it will be the same interview.
Awesome. Since we also have God's Will here, we should probably also talk about the Funimation releases coming out. We're rounding out Fishman Island. God's Will, do you happen to have the information for that? If not,
So season 9 Voyage 4 is actually coming out tomorrow. So that's episodes 553 to 563. So it's rounding out what happens in Fishman Island, dub and subs coming on DVD, and then we have season 9 Voyage 5, which ends Fishman Island. It is coming out in May. It's available for pre-order on Funimation now.
Are the Voyage 4 episodes, are they available on Funimation now already?
Yes, yeah. So, no, they will be available tomorrow as soon as the DVD drops. So about noon Central Time.
Okay, we're all holding you to that noon Central Time. Send your tweets to
God's
Will.
It's crazy. My One Piece DVDs take up more than one shelf now.
Oh,
nine
nice.
seasons.
Jesus, yeah. I need to catch up in my DVD purchases. I'm a little behind.
Well, at least you had the.
I have a lot.
collections.
Yeah, I have
the collections.
Yeah, I have a lot of different iterations of the One Piece DVDs. God's Will, you also showed your dedication as a One Piece fan recently, and we talked about it, but do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I feel really honored to have had this done, and I didn't really expect this to blow up as much as it did, but recently I got a tattoo of the Sun Pirates, so a giant red sun on my chest, because one, Jinbei is finally like making his move towards the Straw Hats, and also it was good timing that happened with season 9 on a DVD. So, both dub and sub were dealing with Jinbei. And then also just sort of meant a lot to me on the sort of civil rights aspect of, a good way to tie my love for One Piece to sort of what's happening in the real world here in real world. So, and then Funimation was down to record it and down to showcase like this anime tattoo, and it sparked a lot of love for it, and other people were saying that they're going to get the same tattoo or similar tattoos.
I think it's probably one of the coolest and most poignant One Piece tattoos you could possibly get.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like because I was wondering like which One Piece tattoo I was going to go for. Maybe like their flags, or maybe the X on the arm.
Yeah, that's what our own Steve got.
Yeah, and
I think that's number one most popular One Piece tattoo.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get that one these days. I'm actually planning on trying to get like a whole sleeve of like anime tattoos. But I was like, let me start with something that I guess meant a lot to me. Because when I saw this moment in the anime, I cried. I straight up cried like when Fisher Tiger got shot, and then also I cried when Otahime got shot, and like that, those scenes like stuck with me for so long, and I finally got the tattoo for it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's amazing that a Japanese manga speaks so much to both our past and current political climate.
Yeah.
I think at the time Fishman Island originally came out, we were hoping it wouldn't be as relevant as it's become. But here we are. So God's Will, really awesome. And if you haven't checked out that video, please do. It's on Funimation's social media accounts, and we tweeted it out as well.
I appreciate that. That was really cool to see you guys support that.
Oh yeah, I mean that is. I think. I mean, I agree that is if that's probably one of the coolest One Piece tattoos you could get.
Yeah.
Has
It's
a lot
a cool
of meaning.
video,
and it's a cool video. Yeah, I got some chills. I'll be honest. There's one other very different point I want to make before we get into the show, and that is that you may have heard of Noda Skywalker. Ed, do you want to remind viewers out there who Noda Skywalker is?
Well, he's a guy who sends in ideas for Oda to draw cover art, and
he gets chosen consistently
a lot,
all the time, and they're great ideas. Hopefully we could showcase some of those soon. Now, he tweeted us, he's been listening to our podcast to learn English, and hopefully we're not completely butchering his concept of the language. But yeah, so we're, honored to have Noda Skywalker tweeting at us and listening to us. Hopefully one day we could have him on the show and talk a little bit about his time submitting stuff to Oda, which I assume will continue in the future when the current story arc is over. So yeah, check him out if you haven't. It's at Noda_Skywalker, and we are pretty sure it's not actually Greg. At least he denies it. So it seems that he is an independent individual. So check that out if you haven't. I think that's
seems ridiculous that we have to say that, but
everyone is secretly Greg, Ed. That's the thing. So we're gonna get into the show. Let's start out with our manga recap. Are you guys ready?
All right.
Yep.
This is the manga recap for Chapter 898, I Will Return. Ed, what's going on the front page here?
So it's the saga of the self-proclaimed Straw Hat Fleet, Volume 30, reminding us how long this has been going on for. It's been like almost
not quite a year. Yeah, we're still 13
but including
away.
Including the color covers too. So,
Oh, wow.
Good point.
Yeah, and the breaks. Yeah.
So this is Buggy's delivery escapee list. Navigator Rodo of the New Giant Pirates. He kind of looks like yeah, we've seen that kind of hairdo before.
Troa? I don't recall anyone in One Piece with this specific hairdo, but
he looks like someone who would have been in the Colosseum.
Yeah, I have like zero to say about this, except that might be a giraffe or something masthead in the back.
I like how he's holding a map, so we know he's a navigator.
Yeah. This guy, his name, he was mentioned in Big Mom's flashback. He was one of the new births in the village that they were celebrating at the winter solstice festival, along with Goldberg. So,
and this is by far the most important thing about him.
Oh, I want to see Goldberg. Maybe we'll see that next week.
He's the goalie, not the navigator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Watch out for the knuckle puck.
Anyway, this what are we up 4? Is this up to 4 of these or 3? We have.
Yeah, I think it's the 4th because he didn't always go to 5. Like he went over one of them. I think of the the different groups.
I can't recall. Who's after Hyruden?
Orlumbus, right?
Oh God! It's the only person more boring.
Yeah.
I have no.
He's such a blank slate, though. We have no idea what he.
Well, who's with Orlumbus? Isn't there someone with him?
I don't know.
Solomon's that one of those, or no? Was he with? No, Solomon was with one of the other ones.
Suleiman the Beheader.
Suleiman the Beheader. He was with someone else. Orlumbus only has the good naming conventions around his ships and stuff. That's the highlight of Orlumbus. All right. Well, is there really anything to talk about here?
No. The real stuff's on the next page.
Okay. Well, why don't we go to it?
So we start off with. Thank you. We start off with one of the dectuplets or something shooting. It's not working. What's with these guys? Yeah, just keep firing. Bring out the bazookas. So this is what, Niji?
No, Ichiji.
Ichiji. Yeah.
It's nice of them to just speak in turn like that.
Yeah.
So Ichiji, he comes in and says, "Take that wounded fellow and get off the island, Sanji. You're only holding us back here." So even as they save him, they put him down a little bit. Luffy is clearly asleep at this point. Sanji's a little surprised, and Niji butts in and says, "They set up a trap for us." And Yonji finishes. They're so attuned. They're finishing each other's sentences.
Sandwiches.
And now they need to pay. And yeah, Yonji's being very ominous about it. Reiju finishes it off. Everyone on this island is the prey of Germa 66 Sanji. We got dibs. It's very informal.
That's the least Reiju word I could imagine. Like, Yonji saying, "We got dibs," sure. But, sure, okay. Reiju's getting out of her shell here. Literally? Anyway, Ed.
Well, she is a butterfly after all, a little bit.
No,
So one
isn't
of
it
the
a
young,
moth? Isn't she like? Was the poisonous?
I don't know.
I don't remember what it is.
So one of the younger members of the Charlotte family says, "Wait, is it true they were augmented with seal skin?" And Oven can't believe this. He blasted. How in the world did you survive that? I thought Nustort and his 10,000-man army conquered your kingdom. Kingdom being the ship, so literally conquering the kingdom because they move like that. But, yep, he says, "Oh right, we're a few flies buzzing around, but we smacked them into the ocean. What do a bunch of fools think they'll be able to do with our scientific power?" It's like putting them down, even as he's like sort of got the upper hand now.
Sam.
We turned the page, and I think I made a mistake in choosing the one that has a lot of French in it. But Mondor is on the snail. He's Brother Nestort, Bescarte, Das March. I don't know
Steven?
these names.
Yeah, I don't know. The other two are, I mean, obviously they all kind of rhyme. It's Nustorte, Bescarte, and Dos Marche. And I could not, for the life of me, find that they were based on anything. So it was clearly like Oda just kind of wanted that same rhythm for each of presumably Nustort's like triplets, I guess maybe.
Yeah, one sounds like 4 and one sounds like 2.
Right.
I see.
I guess you could twist
Yes?
Nustort to kind of sound like 3, but I don't know. I don't know how, but
Yeah, come in, brothers. And we see Count Neotori freaking out behind him, saying, "I was afraid. First Peckham's is a traitor, and now everything is going mad. Sacre bleu." They reported that Germa had already been eliminated. So why is the Germa fleet appearing on Cacao Isle, or Ile, or however you say that in French? That's so we get to see 12th son of Charlotte, Nestort, and he's unconscious. His sunglasses are broken, so that's how you know he lost.
yeah, his Pringle army was defeated.
Man. That's what I like about Germa. Like, I love it that in Germa, nation invades you.
Right. So
I guess that's why Nestort has brothers, because you can't stop at just one.
So the bottom of the page here is the Germa, I guess, fleet, like kind of detaching from the main castle and heading out and firing. We see Smoothie. She's saying, "Don't get distracted by Germa's fleet. We're only following the Straw Hats ship. Tell that to all the other ships surrounding the island too." And we have her pirates going, "Yes, ma'am." And Daifuku is behind her, berating Mondor. "Stupid Mondor. How did they let Germa slip past them?" And Smoothie is saying, "Same could have been asked of you, Brother Daifuku." But Daifuku is saying, "Well, at least I caught back up."
And to be fair,
is he doing a shtick? Is this?
Yeah, you give him partial credit.
To be fair, he did get past a were-rabbit, versus Mondor, who just got tricked by someone making a voice over the radio, over a transponder sound.
Well, when you put it that way,
yeah.
So we see the Straw Hats being chased by them. They're talking amongst themselves. "Germans showed up. What do you think about that? Are they friend or are they foe?" And Jinbei is saying, "Would they really come after us when they have a good chance to escape?" And Nami is countering with, "But our partnership was only temporary. We can't trust them to be on our side." So their phone is now ringing. It's Sanji on the other end. "Jinbei, can you hear me? Past the harbor at full speed, and within that opening, I will return." And we see Nami listening in.
That's a very theatrical language for Sanji. I like that. He's "I will return." It's sort of being a dramatic speech.
It's because he's saying the title. That's
the titular line. Yeah.
The titular line. Yeah.
Yes.
I love it when they say the line.
I love it.
So we see the ship. We get a glimpse of kind of where they are in relation to the island, which is a little fuzzy in the distance. But they are heading to starboard, and meanwhile you can hear in the distance the armies on Cacao Island that are chasing after Sanji, demanding that the others don't let Blackleg escape, and they're trying to fight Germa at the same time, but they're disappearing, and it's just utter chaos. And over this series of panels, we zoom kind of all the way in to the battle. Really cool that like you're zooming in on this big dust cloud of just it's a big cartoon brawl happening in there. You can hear all the sound effects like in Hanna-Barbera or something, and then this one guy is in there. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's this one guy who just shoots out and then like directly into the camera and falls to the ground on the second side of the page. And you can see like through his splayed out legs, you see the figure of Sanji with his foot out, great action pose, holding Luffy over his shoulder. Just really cool kind of choreography sequencing here.
And the full moon at the top there.
Yep, that too.
I'm legally obligated to point that out.
Yes. He's like Sanji's like doing some Whiskey Peak stuff here with Zoro, just knocking guys left and right, and he's running away. They're all shooting at him, and everyone is demanding. Everyone's like, "Don't let him get away! Don't let him get away!" And Brule is acting as the mouthpiece here. Exactly. Yes, you must not let them escape. Straw Hat Luffy, if nothing else, he must not get away, because, and she's summoning her strength for this dramatic reveal here. He did not slip past our brother Katakuri through some simple diversion. Oh no, I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. And everyone's like pausing, like, what is she talking about? And we see that she's just weeping here. Our brother Katakuri, perfect, powerful Katakuri, the greatest in the world. Drip, 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 drip. As the tears are falling.
Oh, man.
And then to complete her thought, she's shouting, he lost his fight against Straw Hat Luffy. And it's like this big, we pull up, we see like the whole crowd, all the action. Everyone's shocked. We see the various, I have not remembered all these new people's names yet, but we got the pineapple guy. He's shocked with all these other guys.
There's the guy who looks like the windmill, or what's the guy in Dressrosa that's flying at the very end of Whiskey Peak, Punk Hazard?
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Yeah. That's who that guy looks like, except weirder somehow.
But that's just he's pulling a face right now.
Yeah. Oven can't believe what he's hearing. What did you say? We see the Droogs there. We see Mondor with his tongue sticking out.
Wait, there's identical bowler hat guys. I guess that's Scythe and Sickle.
They're
part of the couplets.
The 10, the batch of 10.
Yeah.
Batch of 10.
But they're the ones who only have pupils, which we've noticed there's a few.
Oh, it's a new race of
irisless
people. We've only seen them on Oda's little maps before, but here they are in person.
They're the people. The people.
The
you
people
some
people
people eaters.
The people eaters.
I like shots of like this one of Montdor and like the pineapple guy, where it's like you can almost imagine like the sound just kind of dropping out, because we're not like hearing their specific reactions. We're just hearing the ambiance of the But so Luffy and so Sanji's got Luffy. Luffy's nice and asleep. Oven is saying, "No, Katakuri, your legendary winning streak ended by that boy. It can't be true. He would never lose. Master Katakuri can't lose. It's not possible." Brule is still crying. She's very emotional about this. Some guy is like, he must have some cheap trickery. Make him pay. Shoot him dead. Slice him to pieces. They're all, throwing whatever they can at them. Straw Hat Luffy won't even have bones left to identify him when we're done. And Oven's way ahead of him, right in front of Sanji, showing up with his big, like, spear stabby thing. Take this, Straw Hat. Get him, Brother Oven, we hear. And we see Ichiji arriving on the scene, sparking, ... Oven is blinded from the brightness.
That's such a good face of him getting blinded by whatever power this is.
Whenever Oda does any sort of laser beam or fire, he's been really emphasizing the shadow, like I'd say since Shabari.
Kizaru?
Yeah, since Kizaru showed up. And it's always cool, as exampled on the next page, Godswill.
Oh man, yeah, this is so cool. Like I can't wait to see this animated. But Oven's like, and Ichi finishes Valkyrie, sparking Valkyrie, I guess. And everyone's like, Master Oven. And Brother's like, jump Sanji. And then Sanji is shocked. He's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you helped me. But there's no time. He's still breathing really heavily and just jumping as fast as he can.
Shonen jump, Sanji. Sorry.
Jump Shonen. Master Oven is on the ground. Urgh. And I guess Sanji's tup, or I guess that's his steps. Yeah, I guess that's his steps saying tup.
Moonwalk. Yeah.
And everyone's like, Brother Oven. And he is slumped by the sparking Valkyrie. And then Sanji is breathing hard and it's like, Ichiji. And then more people are after him. Hand him over, Blackleg, or I'll smash you out of the sky. Smash you out of the sky. I don't know what type of accent he would have. I guess like a sort of Brooklyn accent. Or
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what we were joking about.
Yeah. Just no pupil guy.
No, he's only pupils. He only has pupils.
Yeah, only pupils.
This is
only pupils.
UN, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the name of the guy.
UN, the
What?
pupil person.
UN. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering what his name was
Charlotte
because
UN.
I was so baffled by it. Oh, there's so much action last time. But he's about to swat Sanji out of the sky again. And then right above him, crunch, his giant hammer thing is obliterated, and no one's the wiser. Well, I guess UN is like, I can't believe you just crunched my thing. And you see Niji. Is that Niji? Who?
Yonji.
That's
That's
Yonji.
Yonji. Okay, that's Yonji. Okay, yeah.
He's the
Yonji
mess
with-
up of the group.
He's the winch.
He's the
The
winch. Stephen?
He's just holding his giant fist of fire out.
Yeah.
He's like, I got this. Don't worry. And then
I
on
love
to next page.
I love the effect of the sparking Valkyrie though, like the way that he drew. It's like the little like beam, like little spears of light or something. How they're like coming out of his hands.
Well, yeah, like they're like beams, but it also looks like motion, like animation
physical.
smears.
Yeah,
it really does. Like, yeah, like I can sort of see it in my head already, but that's why I can't wait to see it like animated because I
Right.
imagine this will be like so silky.
All right, since
Makes
we're
me
like,
think.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Or it just reminds me like of other anime. Like I'm trying to think of the anime, where they go really fast. Concrete Revolutio, like where they do a lot of that motion blur type of stuff.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you can see like the effect coming out of his eyes too, like they're
Yes.
shining or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
I mean, I love that the laser beams follow the speed lines too.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just like it like makes it such a kinetic panel, and
And they're all like moving outward from like a vanishing point.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and
This whole page, this whole spread is like crazy.
So cool.
the highlight.
So
this
cool.
is the highlight of the chapter for me. Also,
Yeah.
I didn't even notice how badass Ichiji looks in the middle
At
bottom,
the bottom.
there. Yeah.
Yep.
It's Oda really does a great job when it comes to that kind of shading. Steven.
Yeah, and so here's Yonji. He's following up after breaking Yuen's expanding weapon thing, and there it is. There's the winch. He goes out and grabs him around the neck.
Nobody beats the winch.
No. And here, yeah, he's swinging him around, winch, guillotine, and it pulls out, and you can just see him. He's just like clobbering everybody in a big circle with UN at the end of it, and just kind of hurdles him around a few times, and lets go. And then you can see, he kind of does his follow through and makes a cool pose, crouching on the ground as Sanji is, escaping once again. And then he's like, "Go, body massage, go!" And he's, Sanji again. He's like, he's taking in that these brothers of his are these kind of bastard brothers of his are helping them out. And is kind of speechless, and so he's up in the air, and then the all these nameless mooks are they're still shooting at him, but now he's a target up over the rooftops. And they're going to say, you're going to pay for what you did to Master Katakuri. And yes, that is a return of the quote shirts where the guy is, Yokumo, which means like, how dare you? So that is, they've made a return from Fishman Island, and
they're all the fashion.
Dressrosa, yeah.
They're Crimin style, changing depending on what you're saying shirts.
Right. Yeah. It's like a marquee, scrolling marquee. And yeah, so one of them shoots a bazooka, and it's shooting. Clearly, this one is well aimed because it's the one that Sanji seems to notice or be worried about, and it does explode. But we can see that someone else has grabbed them and seems to be hurtling them even further and faster through the air to escape the blast.
I love that the bazooka kind of goes through the panels at the top there, top left. I don't know. I just want to
right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. Anyway, it is Niji grabbing Sanji, who is grabbing Luffy, who are going through the air saying, look, they're going to blast you to pieces if that's the fastest you could go. Even when he's being a good guy, Niji is a complete dick.
Yes.
Let's make that clear. They're all kind of still complete dicks, but Niji has always been the worst. Yonji is like, at least he's like a weak, kind of. Anyway, I could go on. So Niji takes out his light speed blade and introduces his newest fashion line, the Henry Blazer, as he cuts through all these schmooks, whatever we want to call mooks.
Nameless mooks.
Nameless mooks. Whatever we're calling them. I combined schmucks and mooks. And everyone is like, no, this is bad. And trying to ask Oven for help, even though he just got shot through the chest a few times. Let's, make that clear. And then exclaiming that they are about to slip out of town. And Oven is like, out of town? And that's about what he sounds like, right? And Niji just looks thrilled. You could see both of his eyebrows just twitching at the idea of letting his little brother fly into the air at top speed as he says, so long, failure. He really is the worst. But he does save Sanji here. Sanji does not look thrilled about what is happening here. He is flying at top speed, whooshing as fast as one could go, and Oven, quickly realizing that the situation is spiraling out of control, takes his little tiny transponder snail, which I assume is a regular size, and he just has very large arms, saying, snack, brownie, Jaconde, do something!
Actually, Oven has basically Frankie Popeye arms.
He does.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Except I think Frankie originally had regular hands, but Oven does
they were
not.
built in, but
now they have the little tiny hands built in. But anyway, he's trying to get them on the transponder snail, but meanwhile on the boats they are too busy fighting, and notice that the transponder snail is going off, but aren't really able to do much about that. Meanwhile.
Okay. I'm sorry. So Brownie here, is it just me? Like, we just had St. Patrick's Day. Like, they got like the gangs in New York, a brawl going on in the port here. He's got his shillelagh. Like, is he just Charlotte O'Brownie?
Top of the morning.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Sanji, who is he's moonwalking, says, look, we could do this. We could get out of here. But below, the bazookas are being loaded, and say all we have to do is take away his ability to fly. And by that, I think they mean shoot a bazooka at them. But God's
Now stop them. Here we go. 3, 2. I don't know why you do a countdown. You should just shoot.
Yeah, really.
Did you learn nothing from what happened 50 miles ago?
They got synchronized.
Right. Right.
I guess.
I guess, right? And then I like that sound effect. Oh, what the? He got shot. And everyone's like, what just happened? All the nameless mooks with the top hats. Yeah, they'll have top hats. And we hear a nameless voice by the side. I'm not going to stand by while you shoot at my little brother. Reiju, the caring older sister who's smoking hot, quite literally right here. And everyone's like, who's that smoking hot woman who's shooting at us? It's the Germa. And then we have a little flashback Understand? Don't ever come back here. Now run. It goes back to the present time where it looks like Rachel's giving a little kiss away to her brother. Oh, that's touching. And she's also giving a kiss of death to all these top hat guys. Pink Hornet. Dot, 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 dot. Rapid gunfire. And don't turn back. I guess in her mind, don't ever come back here. Don't.
It's still part of the flashback.
Yeah.
Is it still part of flashback? Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
it works
the
as both.
way the
Like,
speech
you
bubbles
could,
Yeah, it works. It works well together.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
notice
all the
those
top-
sound effects, or those are what are they? Poison sound effects?
Yeah, the poison. Yeah. Dot, 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 dot.
Actually,
Like a
that is a
machine gun.
very interesting speech bubble. I don't think you've seen that before.
Which speech bubble?
Which one? The guy.
The one- no, with all the spinities on it. For the
That's how,
flashback.
that's how
I
the,
see.
that's
Oh,
how
I
the
see what you mean.
flashback lens.
No,
are
they always
done.
look.
Yeah.
They do?
always
Yeah,
look
okay.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Reggie
Yeah.
finally gets like a proper action scene, but she still has to stick her butt at the camera.
True. Oh yeah, that takes up quite a bit. And all the top hat guys are dying. Yeah. And there's a transponder snail. Those straw hats got off the island. All ships come in, and it looks like people on the ship on the Thousand Sunny are like, "Hurry, Sanji! Aha! Here he comes!" Everybody carrot with the binoculars. Ta-tap, ta-tap, ta-tap. Sanji's carrying Luffy. They did it. They're back. Luffy, Sanji. I can see it ahead. Luffy, it's the Sunny. And they're almost to ship, but not yet there. And here we are with to be continued.
We have 2 chapters left in this. I don't know what you call them. 100 chapter saga.
800. Yeah.
800 to 900. 8 to 880. 8 to 899. I could speak. So that's going to do it for chapter 898. As we head just inches closer to what could be the end of this arc, although there are still some big plot lines dangling here. Let's go through thoughts on the chapter, and then we'll other thoughts I guess we'll go through as well. Let's start. Sam, why don't we start with you this week?
So first of all, the action is incredible. Like between this and the Snake Man chapter, it's like Oda's really getting into the action scenes. Like something's bitten him. Like there's an extra sort of spark to them. This is gonna be a chapter where it's like we're still gonna have to wait and see where things go to decide like how we feel about Germa and the Vinsmokes. Like because we're giving them like this big kind of cool heroic moment, and like we're still not sure how we're going to end up feeling about them in the end. Like because if it's like as simple as like, oh, they're assholes, but oh, now they do this one cool thing, like that's I don't think that would be entirely satisfying. But there's also a scene in this chapter where we have Nami and Jinbei basically having that same conversation, like can we trust them, are they friend or foe, which I think that usually means that there's going to be like a surprise answer to that question. I thought that I think that's most. I think that covers most of my. And I like that we get like that big. I have an affinity for those moments where you have to have one of those side characters like finally like officially announce that Luffy's won the fight. I just feel like that's a tradition for.
Are you
these
happy
arcs.
it's Brûlé, Sam?
I mean, I don't care who it is. I mean, usually it's just like some dude, like a Marine or something.
Better her than Flampe.
Right.
No, I think it would have been better if it was Flumpy Space Princess, because she really idolized Katakuri. Although,
No, but it also
not
it makes
anymore,
the most.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense for Brûlé though, because she's got everyone in her family thinks she's this clumsy klutz, and she thinks she's helping out, but she actually sort of stops the action, and they kind of get away because of her. Well, not really. They were probably going to get away anyway, but she wasn't helping.
Yeah, that is true.
Also, I love this whole like grabbing Luffy and trying to escape as like an action set piece in general. Like I think that the Katakuri fight, Luffy beating Katakuri, that's just like the first of like several like victory check marks that we have to meet by the end of the arc.
No big mom in this.
And the next, it's like we beat Katakuri, but it's not over yet. We gotta get Luffy. We gotta get him safe and sound. We gotta get back to the Sunny and be all together again. And then after that, we gotta get the cake to mom. And
Godswill, what did you think of this chapter?
Oh man, that was so badass. like this whole saga, like this whole end climax scene is like mind blowing to me. Like I'm finding it hard to find words for it. Like it's really cool to see the family come back and like to see like how Germa is really this strong. It's pretty heartwarming to see them actually helping Sanji at least one last time, and it's cool that Luffy was able to beat Katakuri and make it out. I was really skeptical on him making it. I mean, it's like One Piece and they always somehow make it out, but it's cool to see this happen in such a believable sense. Like they wouldn't have been able to make it out if it wasn't for everyone helping out and this plan working out so well. And also the people creating this plan to be so smart. If it was like Zoro coming up this plan, I would be like, I don't know. But seeing Jinbei come up with it and Peckham's and Pedro and all these smart people work together to make this airtight plan, it's really satisfying.
Steven.
Actually, oh wait, I did.
Sam.
There, one main point that I forgot to bring up.
You don't have to go crazy about it. Go for it, Sam. No one's gonna stop you. Yeah.
I like as of the last couple chapters, and as I am on just total eyebrow watch with the Vince Smokes and Sanji. I love Liam Tasker. Yes. He had that great suggestion of that Pudding is going to see Pudding saw both of Sanji's eyes in that moment that they had together. And one of my current theories is that usually when a crew member leaves the crew and comes back and they go through a big arc for them, usually there are subtle changes in them. And my theory right now is that one of the subtle changes we could see in Sanji is that we see both eyes a little more on occasion, a gust of wind could blow his hair, and we see a little bit of his other eyebrow on occasion.
The reason we don't
a hidden secret.
The reason we don't see it, I think, is because of his affection toward Reiju, because she has the same kind of hairstyle where she cuts off half her face too with her hairstyle.
He got his sister's haircut.
He got his sister's hair. No, I think it's because she's the only one. I think it's kind of almost an ode to that, because the rest of them don't hide both eyes, but he does. This is
kind of what I'm getting to. Because with as of last week's chapter and this week's chapter, I think normally Ichiji and Niji specifically, their hair did do the same thing that Reiju and Sanji's do, but the last couple of chapters, their hair has not been going out of its way to hide their eye. We get to at the when Niji's flying around and his hair's blowing back, we get to see both eyebrows. And even last week in the spread with Germa, you could see a little bit of Ichiji's swirl because his hair is not that much in the way. And I don't think that was the case up until now. And I think we're on the verge of learning something new about how Sanji feels about his eyebrows. I think we're on the verge of seeing whatever Judge has got under his helmet. So I think I'm just sort of,
his absence is curious.
Yeah, I'm looking out for those details. I want to see what the motif there is.
It's funny that we forget how ridiculous those eyebrows look just because we're so used to them at this point too. Steven, thoughts?
Yeah, we kind of knew that this was going to be what this chapter was about after last week. When they showed up to save the day, obviously they were going to follow through on that. You don't set up that dramatic turnaround only for it to fail. So there weren't any real surprises in the chapter. I thought the execution was really good. Obviously all the action stuff and the sequencing and all of that, it was fantastically done. I'm sure animated there will be some really good stuff in there. And the let's see. I think as far as how you're supposed to feel about it, I don't necessarily think that we are meant to extrapolate anything far-reaching from what happens between Sanji and his brothers in particular in this chapter, because different things can be true at the same time, which is it's not like we've seen Niji have oh my God, I feel so ashamed for what I did to, that serving girl or whatever.
But that is a conversation that the fans are having. And with that Jinbei and Nami conversation, it feels like a conversation that's being acknowledged.
Yeah. Well, right. And so that is part of it. That's the the crew's view of the situation. That they're jerks, but we also know that they're extremely capable fighters. That's like their strength, I guess, as characters, is that they are real bad at, they're Sentai characters, presumably heroes, although we know that they're also kind of emotionless robots practically.
Well, they were the villains of that Marine comic.
Yeah, but they're also right. It's like they're both the bad guys, but they also have the style of the good guys, where like they're the color coordinated super team. So yeah, while they are, while they're also like characters who we are kind of we've been given reasons to be hostile towards, they're also performing these kind of wild feats here of what would normally be considered heroism. Here I think it's just action. It's cool action stuff, and they're also being kind of true to character, where they're talking down to Sanji. They're kind of insulting him as they do this stuff, and it's kind of interesting because it's both because they are emotionless. At least the brothers, we know that they are kind of not built to actually feel sentimentality. That is fitting for them, but it's also the kind of thing that if you were a sort of rival brother, you're kind of talking shit about your little brother sort of thing. This is the sort of stuff that you would say, even if you secretly you were being nice to them. So it's kind of like there's a juxtaposition of two different I guess sentimental forces, from the audience's perspective.
I guess my main question is just like, where do we go from here with them? Like, where are we ultimately going to end up with, like, with them as like pseudo allies? And my main point is just that I think that there is an answer to that question, is basically where I'm getting at, and I just don't know what it is yet.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if we are necessarily meant to think it's either either they're going to be bad guys, or at least rivals, or if they're going to be like allies or friends, because it seems to me like he's doing something different here, which is that he's maintaining this kind of distance between Sanji and them, that they're this kind of estranged unit, and it's a little complicated. And I don't necessarily think a lot of times Oda will kind of resolve these sort of differences into being a more pure kind of feeling. Either they're okay, this is a bad guy, or oh no, they've turned around. He turned them around. He he absolved their character, and now they're good guys. Where it's okay for us to be fond of them as characters. And I think he's kind of keeping them at a distance. And right. I guess I'm not necessarily. I don't think that he is going to go all the way to repair their image. I think it's going to be this kind of awkward thing.
I don't think so either. And I think that's totally fine. I mean, like like as they're doing this, they're constantly saying that they're more so repaying Big Mom for betraying them rather than we want to help Sanji out anyways. And I think it's fine. I think a lot of us are fine with them being the scoundrels, yet sort of anti-heroes who have their own agenda of just wrecking Big Mom for their own shits and giggles.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also that they have some need for or respect for Sanji, because they don't get this opportunity really without him to get back at her.
True.
So I think there's that, but they're still going to be the same horrible people they were before. Now they just respect Sanji a little bit.
Like, I definitely don't subtext going on.
Like, I don't think that the end result is either, like you've been saying, like, we're not meant to like in this moment feel specifically about. It's meant to. Yeah, you're right. It is meant to be like a more complicated thing. What I'm convinced of is that there is an unexpected like final note that kind of tells a full story at the very least.
Could be. We have not. There's one character who is not in this chapter, so there's more to come.
Well, there's two really big characters who aren't in this chapter.
Yeah, well, but in regards to the family.
Yes. Yeah, that's. I mean, this chapter makes me so much more excited for next chapter because Big Mom's going to be in it. Really, I mean, hopefully she will be. But Oven is such an old man, even though he kind of looks young. But he's such an old man. The way he feels like he's got this strength, and he feels like he's got this under control, and he just sort of sputters every time someone shows him up, and then he ultimately gets wrecked. Like he offered up almost no offense here. He was doing all right until they showed up, and then he just got destroyed. So Oven is just, he was outgunned from the beginning. He didn't even know it. Poor guy. Anyway, but him getting wrecked by Ichiji was beautiful. And once again, we see the dysfunction of the Charlotte family. They just can't deal with it. It's just like emblematic of what Daifuku was like. Well, yeah, at least I caught back up to him. That was one of my like underrated lines of the chapter. Just like the underlying dysfunction of the Charlotte family. I'm excited for Germa that they get to show off their abilities, but I also don't really want them to change because like it just wouldn't feel like this is what they. And besides the fact that they're so robotic and they're so in their way that they can't really do anything else. So I wouldn't really want them to sort of become sentimental. It's just that they recognize, I think, that Sanji has some value now. But other than that, I think you guys pretty much mentioned everything that I wanted to get out there. But I just love the some of the art, the plotting, or not the plotting, the structure of the panels, and the art looked really good, especially with the guy like zooming in on the guy as he gets blown up off the top of the explosion, and like the art on Ichiji and the light with Oven as well. But Zach, did you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, I echo most of what you guys have said. I think this is definitely, Oda has been on a streak of like really good looking chapters and well directed chapters, if that makes sense. Like the action has been super cool to follow. I think Steven's page, the third spread of the chapter where you're zooming in kind of past the Sunny into the action was just really cool and really different. I feel like we don't get that kind of layout that much. I don't know, direction might be the best word there in a chapter, but I thought it was really cool. And you could really, with this whole chapter, and I think Godswell mentioned it earlier, you could really imagine how it would look in the anime if it's done correctly. And or done in the same kind of way.
They have style. They do things sometimes. They try things.
They do. On the other hand, I mean, I really enjoyed everything you guys said about the chapter. Actually, my favorite part of the chapter is that Jinbei kind of is. You're so close to finally officially being part of the crew because everyone's finally going to be on the ship together. I think. I mean, who's on Fishman?
Yeah, except half the crew that isn't here.
I was gonna say everyone who's not. I was gonna say on Fishman Island, but that's not true. On in Totoland. So we're gonna get at least all the crew that is there right now, or not dead like Pedro. Well, he's probably alive. Also, he's not technically part of the crew, so I don't know how you want to take that. So that was good. But on the other hand, I'm like this. In our kind of weekly reading of this arc, is kind of like, just get there already, is a lot of what I was thinking toward the end of this. It's like, I think Ed said that in a more positive way, and that it makes me more excited for the next chapter, certainly. But, the action is cool, but I want to see what happens next really badly, which I guess is not a failing of this chapter, since it is, a Shonen Jump comic. That's one of the things it's supposed to do, but it you kind of knew this was going to happen once Germa showed up, so it felt like going through the paces, though they were very cool paces to go through.
It's a better part of a marathon read, I think, when it's like you don't need that the drip of new information. You can just enjoy the spectacle of what's happening.
Correct. Yeah, I'm sure this will be great in the volume form. This is one of those that I think is probably going to be much better on a reread. This chapter. But going week to week for me, it was like I was reading it, I was loving the whole thing, and then I got to the end and I'm like, that's it? There's not more, and this is a chapter I'm really shocked is only is a regular sized chapter. It felt really short, which is not a bad thing, but it feels like a bad thing when you're reading.
There's a lot of 2-page spreads, so
yeah, no, it's a good looking chapter. I mean, I do agree with all the positives everyone said. It almost made Yonji seem cool. I'll put it that way. Okay, let's go into our anime recap. Sam, are you ready?
Ready.
Sure.
This is the anime recap for episode 828, The Deadly Pact, Luffy and Bedge's Allied Forces. I'm your host Sam, and today with me we have, once again, our good friend Ed.
Hello. Stylish episode this week. A lot to enjoy.
The title card begins at 3 minutes and 43 seconds, which is pretty early, it feels like. Our first shot is basically just a pan over all the Straw Hats as they're sitting down on the couches. We get these kind of comic book, like you said, stylish. It's like comic book cut-ins to each individual one.
Well, it's a thing that I normally hate of every character must be shown in order as they move across the screen.
They do that a lot in this episode.
Yes, but this one in particular did not bother me because they did it in a stylish way. And for an episode that takes place almost entirely in one room except for one scene, I was very entertained by how... Because normally this would be very slow and very wide open and very, some might say, poorly paced. But the tension in this meeting made it worth it to me to stretch it out like this. And normally I wouldn't say that, but I really enjoy this material and I think it adds to it rather than detracting from it.
So one of our first moments here is they're kind of digging into the food the food that's kind of laid out on the table for them. They're munching
Breaking
at
the
it.
tension
Yeah.
a little bit. Then it gets all tense again.
Nami's trying to scold Luffy, but he's like, "Hey, come on, it's here for us to eat, isn't it?" Sanji reminds Bedge that he can't be killed or else there's no wedding, and he won't let his friends get killed either because Capone's kind of posturing and threatening to kill them. Like, "Oh, you guys, we don't need you that much." So Luffy has his sights on one of the gangsters in Capone's crew.
Yeah.
This part they really stretched it out past my comfort. But eventually it's the tension breaks. You're Caesar, aren't you? And Chopper is freaking out what? Caesar? Where? And all the not dumb Straw Hats are responding well, I mean, of course, he's been here this whole time. How did you not notice?
Yeah. I thought that joke was pretty well paid off because also partly because of how long it's been since Caesar appeared.
Right. We get for some filler, we get a flashback of the moment that Caesar fell into Capone's hands. Basically, he's lounging around. He's not getting on work because he doesn't think he can make Big Mom's gigantism drug.
He's resigned to death at this point because this isn't back on Punk Hazard. This is earlier this week.
Right.
Well, I am gonna die.
Yeah. So Capone breaks in. Capone's like, "Hey, we're security. We've got your heart. You come with us." And he's basically instructing Caesar to start building a weapon for him. And then Vito comes in.
I think he's a little ungrateful because he's a little. It should be well, this seems like a better situation than the one I am currently in.
Right.
He should be a little more grateful. But they do have his.
He is stuck making this weapon. Vito comes in. "Oh, hey, by the way, we're meeting with the Straw Hats, and the boss wants to a part of that." And Caesar's like, "No, I don't want to see them." But he goes with it. He uses his gas to stiffen his hair, and it goes straight up. So
that was one of my favorite little parts of the thing. Have we seen that? Mr. Hairspray
right.
fingers.
So yeah, this is the new Caesar clown. He is Gangster Gastino. He claims to be one of Bedge's sworn brothers, but obviously it's all for show. But Luffy buys it. He's like, "Oh, you're not him. Sorry." And he sits back down, and everyone's like, "You idiot." Luffy is like, "Okay, you, Bedge, you hurt Peckham, so I'm going to hurt you back." And he tries punching Bedge, and Jinbei catches the fist. I thought this was a cool moment where Jinbei is he's super on top of this. He catches Luffy's fist, and then there's another moment where like Luffy and Caesar and Capone are all like yelling at each other, and Luffy tries punching Bedge again, but Bedge just like puts Caesar's heart in the way, and so Luffy just punches Caesar's heart.
He punches it a lot.
Jinbei interrupts this arguing by just simply saying, "Do you guys like Big Mom?" And they're all in unison, "No, of course not. We hate her," and so that's something you have in common. So we don't have to be enemies right now. And that brings us to the eye catch of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
The scene we return to is similar to how we've been getting teases of Big Mom's children, like Katakuri and Oven.
Well, it also shows that it's dawn.
Right.
Morning is there.
Yes, the sun is rising. The underworld bosses are showing up. We get to see. They're mostly in shadow right now, so we don't get to see their full designs. But we get a tease of like all these new characters with like all these crazy designs. They're not just like some generic company.
What they made one of them look in particular kind of like Gecko Moria from the neck down.
Oh yeah,
his big parachute pants, the checkerboard pattern on them.
Yeah. We come back to the room. Sanji is asking if he's not all that interested in. He doesn't really care one way or the other if Big Mom is assassinated, but he's asking out of curiosity, is it even possible? And so
I think your enjoyment of this episode hinges a lot on whether or not you found this sort of the beginning of the exploration of Big Mom's sort of psyche and what makes her, like, what weaknesses she could possibly have, whether you find that entertaining or not, or whether you already heard it from reading it in the manga.
Yeah, this was the part of the episode where I was brought back in. Like the first half, I'm just like the pacing is just killing it for me. I'm not into this. But then we get into the talking about Big Mom and Capone's plan to assassinate her. There's also a little scene where like Caesar's getting mad at Bedge for not calling him Gastino. He's like, I'll kill your son if you don't keep your word about giving me my heart back and yada yada.
I thought they would react more to that, but I'd forgotten.
Well, Chiffon's just like, don't worry about that, Gashiko. Yeah, she doesn't get his name right, but my husband keeps his word, so don't worry about that. So before we even get into Capone's sort of explanation of what Big Mom is, we're being introduced to Caesar's weapon, the deadly poison KX launcher. It's basically a rocket launcher, which we've got multiples of just in case.
He's so excited to show.
He's very excited. He's getting like way into it. He's like hugging himself. He's like making gross noises.
Like
he's contorting himself. He's like going upside down. And
set it and forget it. He's like an infomercial.
Yeah. It goes on a little long, but we expect that at this point.
But like it's just reducing the cows sort of overacting. And I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Me too. There's we see a moment where Pez is crying. Capone cheers him up, and then when he comes back to the main conversation, he's still kind of stuck in baby talk, and he's calling Big Mom Mumsy Wumsy and stuff. So it turns out under normal circumstances, even this like super powerful deadly poison rocket shell cannot hurt Big Mom because her skin is so tough. She's like an iron balloon. We get this like little flashback sequence of like Big Mom on a fleet. The bullets are just bouncing off of her. She sinks a ship. It looks awesome. Like Big Mom looks like really freaky and cool. But it turns out that there is a situation in which she is not at full power and therefore can be pierced. There's also a situation in which they will be able to take advantage of that.
So I was always confused about this, but is it clear that Chiffon was the only person who actually saw this, or was Capone there as well?
I think someone knocked there.
Oh, then it would have had to have been pretty recently.
Mm-hmm. I mean, her kids get married a lot.
That's true. Well, I mean, she has tea parties otherwise as well.
Right.
So.
But basically, there's a scenario that the tea party, Sanji's wedding, is the exact moment where they will have a chance to use this weapon on Big Mom and possibly be effective. And that is because Big Mom...
I love the way they look at her when she's staring at the picture. It's a still picture they're panning over, but her mouth is just hanging open like, ha.
Yeah.
Staring at Mother Carmel.
Yeah. Big Mom has this picture of a woman named Mother Carmel. what we learn about her here is that she's someone who was important to Big Mom, but word is she disappeared at some point, and even members of Big Mom's family don't know all the specifics of it. It's kind of a thing between her and her own memories. But basically, she keeps this framed picture of Mother Carmel with her. She sets it across the table from her at all her tea parties. But in one instance, somebody knocked it over. Big Mom shrieked, and it's supposed to be like even scarier than when she's going on her hunger pangs. And that's like a 5-second window in which her body becomes fragile because we see her sort of tripping and like scraping her knee, and like just a little bit of blood comes out. And that's how Capone learns that there's a moment of weakness that they can take advantage of. So the plan is to break the picture on purpose, and in order to and all of her children, all of her henchmen will be immobilized because they're not expecting the scream. Like nobody can like move when she's screaming, but the people part of this plan will be able to move because they've got something called an invisible symphonia system. And they're just basic earplugs. And Chopper is like, oh, earplugs. So the job that they need of Luffy is to be basically bait. To be the one who puts himself in the line of fire of like all these crazy powerful people. And Nami's like, hey, hold on. And even Chiffon's like, hey, that's not fair. Like they saved Lola. I kind of like these guys a little bit. But Luffy's like, okay, I can do that. And that's how the episode wraps up.
Pretty good episode. Good episode. I've gotten my thoughts out there pretty much, but I like the sort of. I acknowledge at this point that the anime is going to be slow, like every week. Mm-hmm. But if they can do it with style, and this is material I already enjoy, then the anime is kind of worth watching every week. But when it's good, but when it's not good, then it's not really.
Yeah, I enjoyed the second half of the episode. I just enjoy Caesar in general. I'm happy that we're at the point in the anime where he's back in the story.
Yeah, I thought the gags landed more in the first half. I like the tension. The gags break the tension for me.
Oh, but, I don't think I felt that way. Yeah, but yeah. I'm generally not a fan of the pacing. Like the last few episodes, it's really been exhausting me, the pacing. Like, and part of it's because like I like how this arc is structured so much, and it's like this machine of like, you know, this thing setting up this thing so that this thing can pay off at this point and this, and it kind of ruins that when like we're building to the setup, you know.
Yeah.
But that's how I've been feeling for a while. So that's old news.
Right. All right. I think that does it for the anime recap this week.
All right. I think we can move on to the next segment then.
Sounds good.
This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, and theories. Let's start with emails this week. Actually, even before we get into emails, a long time ago, and by that I mean at the end of 2016, we did our When Will Whole Cake Island End contest. And since we're getting closer and closer to when it may perhaps end, I feel like we should update everyone. We are up to chapter 898. Sam... actually, no, you're already out of the running. Thomas, one of our editors, still has a chance. He's up right now, but Kelly picked 900 and I picked 901. And I am so screwed here. I really, the thing is, I really need to figure out what to do if I win, because I don't want to win. I purposely said way back in like 2016, a ridiculously high number I thought would never actually happen. And here we are. Let's get into Piece Together though. Well, you guys could think of what I should do if I win, maybe, or something. Because I'm not creative enough to figure that out. Ryan has our first question. What's going on, podcast pirate crew? Going off on a question of Brule and Caesar having a podcast, which is not something I had heard about until this moment. I decided to make a joke shipping Caesar and Brule because they are 1, both tall, 2, look similar in appearance, 3, constantly used by the Straw Hats, that one's true, 4, they're both jerks, and 5, it kind of makes sense. Hope you guys get a good laugh out of it. You can't make us get a good laugh. We either get it or we don't. Sam, you're our Caesar contributor here. Do you approve shipping Caesar and Brule?
Yes.
Okay, it is official. That is happening.
I kind of want Caesar to be happy though. Like she seems kind of awful.
No, they both should be
No,
unhappy.
wait,
Both awful.
No, no. Caesar actually shouldn't be happy.
They both should
Both
be
be
unhappy,
miserable.
and they would both be miserable together. It's true. So there is that.
Make it a sitcom.
The next one, this is one of my favorite usernames we've had in a while. Vince Smoke Plot Device says, longtime listener, and just want to say I really love all you guys do. However, it has been bothering me how Sam, during the anime recaps and whenever he's on the show, raises his voice and interrupts everyone, especially Ed, to say his opinions. I think he's mixing you up with me, but that's okay.
No, I mean,
I
think,
probably
like,
do that, but
No, it's the anime
just did
recap.
it.
It's his segment. I used to host it, and I used to do that. So,
well now, oh,
I mean, like that's what you do when you host a segment. You take charge.
Well, he continues, don't get me wrong, I really like his opinions, but I feel like as a host, he should let his guests talk first. I thought, to be fair, Ed is one of the main hosts of the show. I thought I would
Guy's
never...
theory of hosting is all wrong.
Well, yeah. Anyway, he says it's not a big deal. He still listens to every second of the show. He also has a question. He's calling you out, Sam, mostly. That was the main thrust. But he also has a question.
Jeez.
Are you guys
it's
okay?
constructive. It's constructive criticism.
Now
Still hurts
Sam's-
my feelings, but
Now Sam's just going to be quiet during all anime recaps.
exactly.
And Ed's going to be like, are you there, Sam? No one's hosting. Anyway, he says, my question today is, are you guys okay with the crew escaping the island with no confrontation with Big Mom and having Capone deal with her? My opinion is I am okay with it, and I'm sure Luffy and Big Mom will cross paths again in the future as predicted by Katakuri. Katakuri, he wrote. Katakuri with an I. He wrote it with a Y. That's the only reason I'm thinking of actual curry. Anyway.
If you ask me, if you had to ask me to list the ways of, that the Straw Hats could get away with this without, getting like their ship sunk or some of them killed, in this battle with the Big Mom pirates, would be not fighting Big Mom. So it actually seemed pretty high that they wouldn't actually fight her.
Oh, Sam. No, wait, I'm interrupting you, Sam. My guest.
I feel like I was interrupting you.
Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
I feel pretty strongly that the moment with Big Mom has to be a pretty significant moment. Like I would like it if like the Straw Hats still managed to like make their way in that direction. What I'm hoping for, what I would really love is if feeding the cake to Big Mom was like it was like a ringing the gold bell moment.
Oh, you literally stole my thing I was going to say, Sam. This is why you don't let guests speak first.
Right. Yeah, because it's this moment where it happens, you expected it to happen, but you kind of really realize the scope of what's going on only once it finally clicks. I think that's a great potential moment for it's a big moment for basically every parent and child relationship in this arc. It's a moment for Sanji to show off in front of Judge. It's a moment for Zeph and Sora's encouragement to be validated. It would be great if in the next couple of chapters we got some more information on what was going on between Lola and Pudding and Chiffon, and like that could be
and Pound.
And Pound and Pudding and Chiffon helped with that cake, so it's a big moment that they're contributing to this moment. Maybe we learn something new about Big Mom and Mother Carmel right up until that moment happens.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah. I agree. I think if like either Luffy or Sanji or whoever is not directly involved with pacifying Big Mom, whether that's with the cake or through some combination of cake and violence, I feel like if they're not going to be involved, then it's got to be something that is really, really, really awesome and is worth, missing out on that kind of direct involvement with the crew, because, they're the cast that we're here to see. And, I feel like it would be hard not to be disappointing in some way if they're not involved with the big climactic moment that everything is revolving around.
As Steven said, we were promised to have our cake and have our cake violence too. and we deserve cake violence.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts on the cake violence? Okay.
I like cake violence.
Cake violence is great. Ben Wild said, do you think Kobe will have a higher rank the next time we see him? Didn't we recently learn he did get promoted?
That's how it works here. In
Is he a captain now?
Film Zed, he got a promotion. I think he was 100 captain or something.
Maybe
He's at least captain, I think.
Let me look that up. Yeah. Kobe. Oh, no.
Interesting.
Kobe is also an electronics store.
Kobe is the Marine captain now.
There you go. Wow,
Yeah,
Captain
he is.
Kobe.
That's
Alliterative.
El Meppo is the lieutenant commander.
Captain being Morgan's role.
No, actually, those are two different ranks.
No, well,
He's an Oscar
because
winner.
Morgan was captain, and now Kobe's a captain. Right?
No, I'm saying, but it isn't it two different kinds of captain?
No, he
oh,
was
are they?
Captain Morgan? No, we're talking about like in the very first anime arc, right? Like with Zoro?
Yeah.
Or am I
No,
mixing
I
up?
just thought they used a different word for it. In
No,
the Japanese.
I thought he was a captain, wasn't he? I mean, he was
Yeah,
an East
Morgan-
Blue, so he was a lame captain, but
Well, I guess.
although Smoker was an East Blue and he is not a lame captain, so.
Right.
Next one comes from, oh God, this is some question. You guys are going to enjoy this. Andrew Peterson said, if the Straw Hats were dogs, what would their favorite kinds of pizza be? It's combining two of
You let your dog
Har.
eat pizza, Zach?
No. No, he's just combining our two favorite questions. I refuse to engage in this kind of pandering. But what do you guys think? I guess there's no real answer to that because you wouldn't feed dogs pizza. I mean, that's just not cool. Because then every time you eat pizza, they'll think that you could have it. They could have it.
Right. It's a bad example.
It's a bad example.
It's also unrealistic. I would never share pizza.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, do you guys understand what pizza is? It's a selfish food. Let's move on to Reddit, Steven.
All right. We will begin with Milky Andromeda Way, who says, having read the One Piece connection, I've been sort of wanting to ask this since Carrot's transformation. It seems too unlikely to me that the Mink's ability to go Sulong at the sight of the full moon has nothing to do with the other moon-related hints, themes, and elements that the story of One Piece has exhibited thus far. What do you think? Do you think there is a connection? And if so, do you have any theories on what it could be?
I mean, if and when I ever do a follow-up to that, I think that'll definitely be true. But we don't have enough information. Yeah.
The Vinx and Zoe are too connected to the pre-Void Century history of One Piece to not be related, to have their powers controlled by the moon. You know, it's got to be a part of the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Steven?
I'm not 100% convinced because, just kind of lycanthropy, the werewolf concept is it's well enough understood on its own, I think, for it to stand on its own. But I certainly cannot rule out the possibility that that Oda is going to tie it in somehow thematically with the moon. And we do know that because of like the stuff with the whale forest and the poneglyph and all that stuff, that there is a lot of old historical ties to the backstory of One Piece.
He probably started with, let's turn them into like werewolf type things, and then I can tie it into all this moon stuff.
Yeah, maybe. That's kind of how you write stories and come up with stuff like that. All right, Fierce Alchemist says, Oda's making it seem like Sanji and Luffy are going to make it back, but I think something is going to stop them next chapter. How do you think Big Mom's going to tie into everything on Cacao Island? There's no way she eats the cake off the Fire Tank Pirates ship and is satisfied off screen.
I agree with the second part of that. I like the ringing of the bell thing that Sam said, because that's what I was going to say.
Fluffy Island is not that far from Cacao, right?
No.
It's far enough that she shouldn't be able to catch them. That was the
although
purpose.
for all we know, off screen, Capone and Chiffon changed course again or something.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't Fluffy Island Chiffon's island?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're going there, I'm pretty sure.
And Paraspero's still with Big Mom and Smoothie's fleet? Which fleet? Not Smoothie's.
No. Smoothie's fleet is hanging out behind the Straw Hats.
Which fleet is still following them? There's another one, right? Or is it just Big Mom and Paraspero? He has a fleet?
Yeah.
Okay, Good for him.
Well, whoever.
Yeah.
He
They got a
he
million
seems to be
ships.
he's the first son, isn't
Yeah.
He's the worst son, but what's next?
All right. D Freed says, "Hey, OP party people, where is Caesar? Where is Caesar? Where is Caesar? Where is Caesar?"
You don't have to read
Sam?
all of this.
I'm looking forward to finding out.
Oh, Sam, don't be coy. You know where Caesar is.
He's got his magnifying glass out. He's looking.
he? I'm thinking he's on the fire tank pirate ship. He's going to be involved with this Big Mom thing.
I got an idea. Let's do this.
He's just hiding.
Let's do a game quick. From 1 to
What?
10, 10 being the most likely, what are the chances we're going to see Caesar before this arc concludes? Sam,
7.5.
Steven.
10.
Wow, Ed.
What's more than 10?
It's not a competition.
Godswill.
6.
Okay. The thing is, Steven may know the answer to this.
No,
If Caesar gets to be the one to feed Mom the cake, I will be very satisfied.
Or if Steven was, not Steven, if Steven was hiding in the cake, if Caesar was hiding in the cake and accidentally got eaten, this is the perfect place for me to hide.
Mr. President.
What's next?
You probably should ignore that.
Yeoman Axel says the reintroduction of Daifuku confused me at first, as it seemed to imply that he somehow got himself off of his damaged ship and onto Smoothies. But then I thought of something. What if the genie can fly with Daifuku on top of it? Not only would it explain how he caught up, but it could be a lead-in to an epic aerial battle between him and Sanji, something that we've never really seen before. He also points out that as of this chapter, 20 officers of the Big Mom Pirates have been defeated, either through a beatdown or betraying Big Mom to help the Straw Hats.
It'd be funnier if the genie was strong enough to fly while also dragging Daifuku below him, so he looks like a hot air balloon.
I think it would be pretty funny if Daifuku just rode around, it's like a Kintoon situation where he just rides, on the genie who is still connected to him. But yeah, that's pretty good.
It does remind me that, we don't know what Pudding is up to right now as of when she last saw Sanji. How fast is her carpet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good question. Rail Love Pie says, oh boy, if a mink transfers his or her eyes to a non-mink, do you think that person can also inherit the Sulong transformation? If so, I am intrigued if Mihawk's eyes came from a mink. It will be exciting to see what Mihawk and Zoro's Sulong will look like.
Oh boy.
I'm going to take a wild guess here and say that's probably not the case.
Yeah. Although, that would be
feel like
cool, but
I feel it's more biological with
Yeah.
the whole makeup rather than just eyes.
Yeah.
it's like the Saiyans. The gland is in their tail, right?
Just give them a tail and you got it.
Mhm. Big J of today wants to know, when are we going to do ending theme rankings? I completely forgot One Piece had ending music and was happy when I heard it mentioned during the opening rankings. It brought back memories of watching the subs back in 2003 and 4. Other than memories, what ending theme would you want to hear be brought back for an episode or special? Mine would be Run, Run, Run.
Well, we did ending rankings.
Yeah. Didn't we do that first?
Well, we did. Yeah, it was Robin's Got Bats or something, I think is the name of the
Robin's
episode.
got the bats, yeah.
Yeah, I could find the episode number. I assume it's only...
It's in 2014.
Robin's Got the
Yeah.
Bats. Let's find this out together, everyone. That is episode 367, 2015. So that's going to be definitive since there have been no endings since. I don't want to go through all of them and ruin it for everyone, so I'm not going to. I'll just say listen to episode 367.
Subscribe on Patreon.
Yeah, it is a 4-hour episode all about endings and other things. Yeah.
Whew. Okay. Avatar: The Last Airbender for Life asks. Anyways,
Well, he is the last one.
My question this week is regards to your opinions. How do you think Luffy's stature will be after this arc? He's always been a thorn in the side of the world government and Marines, but so far he's been about the same threat level in their eyes as the rest of the Supernovas and the Shichibukai, the 7 Warlords. Well, they're not. Yeah, Never mind. With this arc, he has to graduate to the next weight class, so to speak, don't you think? Assuming they get away from Whole Cake Island, how many other pirates have wreaked havoc on a Four Emperors base and lived to tell the tale?
The stature, about 5'7".
Yes, there you go.
Like I don't think he's gonna upgrade to like Emperor or Warlord or anything. But
he's basically been at Warlord status. I mean, he's basically been there. Like it's a lot. There's a lot lower bar to being a Warlord than to being an Emperor. Like being an Emperor means a lot more still. Means more than being an Admiral.
True.
Yeah.
But he's gonna have a higher bounty for beating Katakuri.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the question is it going to go up to 1 billion? Because that is what Katakuri's was. And also, does it matter?
Right. I mean, we know that bounties go up slower once it passes 300 million.
300 or 500? 300, yeah. I guess you're right.
I think it will go higher because also, like, since you have all these underground people who were there to see, like,
big news.
See Luffy, right? Also get the bomb, like that's. Like they're thinking that he's trying to make a power move.
He defeated two of the generals.
I mean, to be fair, since big news is there and there's like potentially some real coverage, like real accurate coverage of this event, potentially, I think his bounty could go up much more than it would have if he weren't there.
Yeah. I'm super interested in finding out because part of the fun is just knowing that this is going to be a crazy story that spreads and people are amazed at what Luffy accomplished. But at the same time, it's very specific. It was very, specific that like he's beating, a henchman of Big Mom's and not beating Big Mom necessarily. So I don't know. It's weird. And I feel because we got the Reverie coming up, right? So like is the Reverie going to start and they're going to be talking about how Luffy's now just like a huge deal?
I think they are.
Yeah. I forgot about the Reverie at this point. Because if you recall, at the end of 2016, Oda said next year we're going to get the end of Whole Cake Island, the Reverie arc, and the beginning of the Wano arc. We are now almost in the second quarter of 2018, and we are still in Whole Cake Island.
Oda's so unreliable narrator.
It's an unreliable in guessing time frames. I mean, that is, if it's going to happen again, an editor or he's going to say this is happening at this point, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it! We're going to get it at this point," and blah blah blah, and we're going to be the Debbie Downers and say he has always lied about that. He thought we were halfway through the story before Skypiea. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking
Halfway
about.
through the story was like, that was the thing when I started with One Piece.
Well, first he said the whole story will take 5 years. That was his first thing. We are at 21 this year. He said it was going to be halfway through during Skypiea. He said it again, I think, during NES Lobby. He said it again during Marineford. Who knows?
Is this his way of keeping like the editorial management jump off of his back, like keep from doing editorial?
They probably want him to go on forever and ever and ever. I mean, One Piece is a breadwinner for Shonen Jump and Shueisha.
That's true.
Yeah, why would Toei? Why would they want it to ever end? Look at Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball. I mean, they've had to force it to continue. Anyway, please go on.
Red-haired D. Shanks has a simple question. Do you guys think that the reason Judge hasn't showed up is because Sanji told him to never show his face in front of them again?
They're not considerate like that.
Well, he did get his
that's probably true.
He did get his head kicked in, as I recall, or punched in. I forget exactly what happened, but he got his ass kicked.
Either way is concave. His head
exactly.
is concave.
Yeah.
He's gonna show up like Don Chinjao.
There's a lot of
head's gonna be all flat.
There'll be a reverse Chinjao, which I guess Chinjao did get. There are two things though that are kind of loose ends with Judge, and that is his past with both Caesar and Vegapunk, and his eyebrows. And we still don't know about those, and we're approaching the end here.
Well, we've seen them in the anime a little more closely than we do in the manga.
I would take that with a heaping grain of salt.
Well, actually, because the anime was like super funny because they the first time we saw Judge, the first episode we saw Judge, they drew his eyebrows as just like thin lines, But then, like in the next episode, they obviously had to correct it so that they're now big, bushy eyebrows.
Maybe he just has very bushy curls.
That's what we've been saying, I think, since
yeah.
the beginning.
No, we said
big-
he had many little curls coming off of the one
No.
eyebrow.
I like to
Yeah.
think of, like, you know when the Beast gets all dressed up in Beauty and the Beast with all the curls?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mean my eyebrows in the morning?
Yeah. Big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giant, bushy
man.
eyebrows with like 6 swirls on each side.
You're going to be a tremendous senior citizen someday, Zach.
Oh God. Yeah, I've seen senior citizens with those kind of eyebrows. Go ahead,
All right.
Stephen.
Samuel 1698 has a meta question. It has to do with face spoilers. When I listen to a podcast, I like not knowing how the people in it look. It adds to the experience. The question is, how many of you guys' Twitter can I follow without fear of face spoilers? Is that just asking you if we post selfies?
I guess.
I've definitely posted pictures of myself before, but, like,
Well,
Well, we
you'd
have
have
the
to go back pretty
Psycons.
far to find that, yeah.
I'm more curious from this listener what they think we look like.
yeah, right in. Also, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we all have icons that were drawn of us in our likenesses,
which
from,
are reasonably
from fan
reasonably accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of us still have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Not everybody uses them, but
Yeah. I don't post selfies really ever though. If you don't want to know what my dog looks like, I would not follow my dog.
Actually, the last time I posted a selfie was when I went, either the second or third time I went to go see Phil Gould in the theater.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think if it's a big One Piece event, you might want to mute me for a week.
Yeah.
Only
You
every once in
would
a
see
while.
my face on occasion.
Yeah. Well, I think you have yours as your curious cat icon or something. I always see it when you're answering questions.
Not to
Right,
ruin
right,
this
yeah.
person's face spoilers, but height spoilers. I found that picture from when we were in Chicago, Sam, you, me, and Steve. They are both 6'4", and I am 5'8". I look like a little child. But it was sitting down. But I just remember standing next to both of them, and my neck probably hurt at the end of that. What's next?
Yeah. All right. So your homework is now you have to write back and tell us what you think.
Yeah,
you look
that is homework, or draw if you have that ability.
Okay. Let's see. Prince of Assassins says, so the Vinsmoke's actions confuse me a bit since they save Sanji, but but aside from Reiju, still see him as inferior until I realized they were pulling a crocodile at Marineford when he sandstormed Jinbei and Luffy away to spite the Navy. Also, I think it's really like that. Speaking of, do you think because Oda cut the chapter off before they landed, there will be one more challenge to overcome from the Big Mom Pirates? Maybe we'll get a taste of Snack.
Yum.
Yeah, I love Snack.
It sounds reasonable. I think kind of what I'm getting out of this finale right now is that we've kind of with Katakuri we've kind of knocked the first domino over, and now it's kind of like a whirlwind of getting the Straw Hats to victory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anime Lover 1491 says, do you think that Oda putting Luffy to sleep during this last part is supposed to be our solidifying piece that we are at least 10 chapters until post Whole Cake Island, or is this supposed to be just another stall for the Straw Hat crew and make this arc go on for even longer?
I think it's the opposite. He's getting his sleep out of the way now. Usually it's like a few chapters after he's sleeping, and it takes him a few days even. So at least we're like getting that sleep over with before the arc is done. That's great. That usually.
So does Luffy
happen.
wake up before the fighting's over? I don't know if he does.
No, I don't. I would bet he
The
is.
thing is, yeah, if I was going to wake Luffy up, there has to be kind of a payoff of that. Like Luffy has to be like, what happened or what's going on? And I feel like unless it's going to be something
Big Mom
really
eating the
weird,
cake at the most.
yeah. Right. And this is going to be something really dramatic like that. I feel like it would maybe be a little bit awkward.
Maybe it's not ringing the bell, but she just yells out of pleasure so loudly after eating the cake. She's just so happy eating it that it just rings like throughout Totoland, and wakes Luffy up. Like that's how
And
loud
then
it is.
Her shadow
Having a-
of her holding cake is projected on the clouds.
It would be a good, well, that part no, but it would be
Having
a good
pastry experience.
It would be a good mirror image to what was happening on top of Whole Cake Island when she was yelling out of pain after the Mother Carmel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yelling out of pleasure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like doing the concentric ring thing
Yep.
with her voice. Yeah,
The whole thing.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, getting to the end here. Croco Cake Boss says, I just noticed that chapter 898 is 300 chapters after the time skip. We're also right around halfway through how long the pre-time skip was. So as of now, how do the two different eras stack against each other? I find most people like pre-time skip more, but if you had to give a number out of 10 for both, what would they be?
Wow.
Ooh,
Someone stole my very creative ranking system of 1 through 10.
Yeah.
I don't know, like the first pre-time skip stuff would probably be like a 9.5.
Well, here, I guess so. It would be what's halfway. So it was what was it, 498? So it would be around like what was chapter 250? I should check that. Isn't that Skype?
That would be getting towards Skype. Yeah.
That's it's called Ball Dragon. Is that really what it's called?
The god Satori.
Yeah. There you
go.
go.
Okay. So everything up to Satori. Or everything.
That's a bad place to ask that.
It is a bad place. But it also reminds you that bad stuff, it kind of takes the nostalgia out of that. If you're like, Satori shit.
Wait.
Okay.
Are we ranking the two halves of pre-time skip?
So, no, it would be the first half pre-time skip versus the first half post-time skip.
This person is posing it basically the first quarter of One Piece versus the third quarter of One Piece.
Oh,
yeah, I think that's
no. They're just saying pre-time skip or post-time skip.
I think it's more fair to rank the first quarter versus the third quarter. But okay, whatever.
Sorry. So it's up to
everybody,
what part?
right?
Whatever you want, Goswell. So either the first half or up to Skypiea versus what's happened so far in the New World.
Gotcha.
Anyone?
I mean, for overall, it's going to be pre-time skip. I think it's still going to be pre-time skip, even if it's like the first quarter versus the third quarter, because there's so much like the first peak of the series, the Alabasta, and it's got the Nami stuff and the Chopper stuff and all of East Blue.
There's some very weak moments in the first quarter too, though. I mean, looking back,
there's so much nostalgia for the best stuff
that's the problem.
You can't like. What new stuff can't really take that place? Like, that's what nostalgia's for. Like,
The New World is in an interesting place for me because, like, so Fishman Island and Punk Hazard, I both really enjoy, but I accept them as like they're setting bigger things up for later. You know, like that's how Fishman Island ends. Punk Hazard is just like the prologue to Dressrosa. So Whole Cake Island is on its way to potentially being the first arc of the New World that I find like wholly satisfying. Assuming it,
was
I
that
enjoy
a
the ending.
pun?
Sure. Yeah. Like assuming I enjoy the ending of this arc as much as I think I'm gonna, then Whole Cake Island will be like the first like New World arc that like
first great arc.
The first like complete feeling great arc.
Where you could kind of read it independently. Go ahead.
Yeah. I would say, like I said, so if I was going to be real sloppy and just like throw out numbers, I would say maybe like 9 for pre-time skip, 7 for post-time skip. But I think it is hard because of what Sam mentioned. Like, I feel like what Oda is doing right now, post-time skip, is that like the stuff that he's challenging himself with and that he's trying to do that's different is that it's not so much that each arc is its own like separate cool adventure and you do that and you're done and then you move on to the next thing and you see what comes next. It's like he's telling a meta story more like it where each arc is like a separate step towards something that he is building towards, and like they may not necessarily be as satisfying individually, but who knows? It may all culminate together. Like, if we get Big Mom, coming back at Elbaf, and it's like the last thing before Raftel, and like everything is, and Shanks is involved, everything is coming together, and like every single arc since they came up from Fishman Island is, is
everything's paying off at once.
Yeah, everything's coming together. Like that could be just transcendently amazing. But
like,
we don't know. We don't know for sure if that's what we're gonna get.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of Fishman Island, like I feel like that that arc is ripe to be like really followed up with like soon, like with because it's connected to Big Mom. Because we got the Reverie coming up.
Jinbei, yeah.
Jinbei.
The thing about that is though, and no offense, Godswill, but I've been watching those DVDs. In the middle of that arc is, whoo boy.
Yeah, it's slow. I mean, like, I wholeheartedly
flashbacks.
agree.
No.
The flashbacks are cool, but I think like the arc itself can be pretty slow. And as you guys are talking, I'm thinking about my own answer. Like the second half of pre-time skip is the best part of One Piece to me. And then the first part is cool, but not amazing. You know, sort of shonen type stuff, but it's cool. Whereas the New World stuff is cool, but pacing problems sort of stilted. And I was thinking to myself, I would give like pre-time skip like an 8 and the New World stuff like a 7.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've all, I think everyone here has been reading One Piece for many, many, many years. So I feel like the best kind of people to kind of give a really clear opinion of this are people like Casey, who read basically everything through Dressrosa, I think, straight, and doesn't have that kind of nostalgia attached to it. Or I believe Grant, who's currently reading it. I'd be curious when he's done to say, to ask the same question to him, because he's not going to have that kind of nostalgia with the earlier stuff. Although maybe when he finishes reading it, it will have been 10 years since he started.
Yeah, what is he doing? One chapter a day, so it's going to take him like 3.5 years. Yeah.
Even so, it's harder to have. I don't know how old he is, but I assume 3.5 years from now isn't going to. A lot of us were much younger when we started reading it than he probably is when he starts reading it. Anyway, what else do we have, Stephen?
Okay, one last question from Reddit from Stupid Flanders is, what would each Straw Hat's choice of cereal to eat be? The only one I'm going to suggest is that Nami's would be Lucky Charms, because she's kind of like that greedy leprechaun that doesn't want to share her wealth.
You mean the strawberry...
You mean Lucky the leprechaun?
Not the Rick and Morty
would
one?
have Captain Crunch.
Yeah, he's a captain. That's true.
Well,
Carrot, he would imagine that he was Captain Crunch.
I was just watching the... Who?
Carrot and Tricks cereal?
Of course.
Oh,
Zoro could be also Captain Crunch, because Captain Crunch cuts your mouth.
Brooke and
I feel like
Count
Robin would be Raisin Bran.
Brooke and Count Chocula?
Yeah.
Count Chocula.
I think I like Carrot and Twix, or Trix.
Twix are delicious.
Carrot and Trix too, because I would love to see those asshole little kids try to keep her from the candy if she goes too long and just demolishes them.
Yes. I think Sanji would be Kashi. Like, I think he has to have the organic stuff.
Zoro's Apple Jacks.
But they don't taste like apples.
Well, they got the green ones now.
Now they do taste like apples, right? That's the crazy thing, didn't they? Yeah, I don't know.
We've never actually had that.
What other Straw Hats are we missing? Is there any meat?
Frankie's got to have a good one.
Is there any meat?
I was thinking like Kix. I think he wouldn't have a good
No,
one.
Frankie would have Reese's for breakfast.
That's
Reese's
true.
for breakfast.
He would.
Yeah, he'd be crazy.
If there were a meat cereal, that's what Luffy would have.
Luffy.
Yeah.
Bacon cereal.
There's Jurassic
would
Park
have,
cereal at the time.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
Chopper would have. Was that they used to call them like Sugar Puffs?
Sugar Crisp.
Sugar Crisp, Sugar Bear.
You get enough of that Sugar Crisp.
I mean, Luffy and Chopper both got a kick out of Cacao Island before they got kicked out of Cacao Island. So I think like Cocoa Pebbles or Cocoa Puffs.
Cookie Crisp, maybe.
Cookie Crisp. Wow. Chopper would love Cookie Crisp. That's fair. Yeah.
Robin would eat grape nuts.
What would Jinbei
I was saying Raisin Bran.
Oatmeal.
Yeah, Raisin Bran.
Jinbei would have oatmeal, yeah. It's true. Good one, Sam. Yeah. Is that the last one?
Who would have corn pops? Somebody's got to have their pops. That's me. All right. That's it.
Okay. Ed, it's time too.
Peace the tweet.
What do we have on Twitter?
Oh, first one comes from G Says That. This one's directly for Godswell. Um, One Piece tattoos are awesome. But if you had to get one on your face, what would you get?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was just like,
I
don't
saw you
really
reply
want
to
a face
that.
tattoo. Yeah. Now, I replied to the guy. I said like if I had to get a face tattoo, I guess I would get like dragons. You know, like
I didn't
yeah.
see that you responded.
yeah, I sort of like those like eye tattoos, like that look sort of like a scar, but I wouldn't want a face tattoo.
It's a permanent cosplay you'd have.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess if you're forced to have one, at least have one that someone else in the series has.
Right.
If you're
Or can I
literally
just have a
being
line like
forced.
Zoro and just be like, "Oh yeah, it's a scar." Sometimes.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool. But I can't imagine that's a very tender area to get to.
Oh.
Cool.
Yep. Next one comes from Chopper's Antler. She says, "I love your read-throughs, and I love Zoe. You planning to do the Zoe read-through soon?
2020. I'm serious. 2020.
So does that mean we're doing Dressrosa next year?
No, what I was gonna do. Someone asked this a few months ago, and I think I even did a poll. Like, when do you want the next? Like just to throw it out in the field. And I think 2020 is a good time because by then it would be 5 years from when we did the original Great One Piece read through, which went through Dressrosa. I would want to redo Dressrosa again whenever we do it.
Yeah.
Give that a fresh look through. I'm not gonna go from the beginning again because I guarantee you in 2020 I will not have that kind of time. So
I don't think our opinions would change that much about anything pre-time.
no, and I think we were probably much nicer in Dressrosa than we would be like if we did it today. And maybe we'll be nicer in 2 years than we will be today. So if you're listening to this in
Benefit
2
of
years,
hindsight. You know?
yeah, I know a lot of people listen to our podcast way after they air, so they probably know the answer to this already. But yeah, so by then we'll be able to do Dressrosa, Zoe, and Whole Cake Island for sure. If Reverie is its own arc, which who knows what we're going to actually consider it by the end of the day, we'd be able to do that, and we might be able to do Wano. We will see. I doubt it, but we might. And also the Tokyo Olympics are going on. I feel like that's a great time to do that. So unfortunately, you're going to have to wait.
But it is coming.
Yeah. It'll come. We'll do it again, provided that we have the time.
Next one comes from Elvergun. It says, "This is a first. Luffy lost his sandals in a fight. First time we saw Gear 4th, he took them off, but had them on later. Not this time."
It was funny because I was literally just having a conversation the other day about that famous video where the guy is horsing around and he jumps on the treadmill and then he falls off and his slippers go flying off. Yes. It's a classic, modern classic. That's all I have to say.
All right, next one comes from Cadet Hat Sean, who and this one goes out to Steve, who has, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sanji, and my client, Monkey D. Luffy, conquered Katakuri's streak." And no one on this show this week is going to get that, so this one's for Steve. Pure wrestling jokes. The next one comes from Ghost Starch, who says, "I just noticed that Katakuri, Smoothie, and Cracker can all use their devil fruits to make themselves appear bigger. If Snack can also do so, then do you think it's a condition for becoming a general or just a coincidence?"
That'd be interesting.
There's a lot. There's a lot of right. Yeah, there's a lot of personal size, issues in this arc. That would be interesting.
Yeah. All right, next one comes from Pongzilla, who says, "It seemed to me that the Vinsmokes have a lot of similar powers to Frankie. Do you think this is to do with Vegapunk's influences?" I don't really know how much of an influence there is. Like, what would Frankie have been influenced by? Like, yeah.
Didn't Frankie find all of Vegapunk's stuff inside of his lab?
Well, I mean, Frankie gained lasers after the time skip, right?
I guess, but he was pretty heavily modified already, so I don't really see it as. I mean, I guess Vegapunk did advance him, and he did get the lasers, but
right, yeah, because beams and lasers seem to be a Vegapunk, Kizaru, Kuma, Frankie thing.
That's true.
Also, I guess talking about the cyborg-esque aspects of Germa, but I'm not sure if you would call them androids or cyborgs or robotic. Really, at this point. Just it seems more biological than like robotic, if that makes sense.
And it seems like the lasers are like the hot innovation in One Piece these days. Like the world of One Piece, like they just discovered lasers, so that's what they're going with. Okay, next one comes from Nick Fridge, who says, One Piece podcast. So, most boring cover story or most boring cover story?
No, it should have been phrased boring cover story or most boring cover story, right? Isn't that how Stephen Colbert used to do that?
I read it verbatim. Exactly.
No, I know. I'm just, yeah. Anyway,
I don't even know if this is really a story.
Well, I mean, these are all like pieces of a bigger, thing.
Well, it's like the East Blue was about like assembling your crew. This is like the part of like the first half of New World is about assembling your fleet.
Well, I should ask this: as far as you guys are able to remember, which of the Straw Hat Fleet cover stories have been your favorite or have stuck out to you? Legitimately difficult question.
Yeah, Bartolomeo.
Actually, Dungeon Zhao and
Sai.
That one was.
Sorry,
Dungeon Zhao and Sai. That one was funny. That one had some funny moments, I thought.
I think you're right. I think Bartolomeo is the only one that had like some consequence. Maybe
what happened now? I don't even remember it.
I mean, like Bluegilly and Idios was especially useless.
Oh my god, that one was bad. The Bartolomeo, he was selling fake goods, which was great.
Yeah, that's right.
And then
hoisting them off,
and it was in Shanks's like one of Shanks's territories, and he's like, "Well, screw him. We don't care about him." I thought that was fun. I think that was my favorite.
Yeah, now that you mention it, that is a good one.
The rest of them, I really could give or take. Leo had some.
I like seeing the Tentadas. It's cool that they're going to be at the Reverie, but
that was the cutest cover story, without a doubt.
Wow.
Of those, and maybe even of any
big competition there.
Yeah.
And next one comes from Fanboy Sins, who says, "Hello, OPP. What kind of arcs do you enjoy more? Ones where everything revolves around Straw Hats, or those where our favorite crew seems small part of the world of One Piece? I'm a sucker for the second type because Oda is a master in immersive world."
I think he meant immense world in an immense world.
Well, no, like immersive, I guess.
I guess
like
it could be either.
A video game thing.
Oh.
I guess I have to ask what are some other examples? What are some counter examples, or because Dressrosa and Whole Cake Island are definitely like
the second type.
Yeah.
I think the ones where it's just like you see, like
they don't really do that anymore. They don't really do.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, like I would welcome one of those now just for a change of pace, but the story itself.
Well, what would be
all the poneglyphs and stuff?
Yeah, but there really is no example of just the first type because even all of the little arcs usually influence something bigger. Skypiea is an example of it. Really focuses on our characters, I think.
Little Garden.
Well, okay, actually, think about it like this way, right? Like Water 7 is almost entirely about the Straw Hats and like their conflicts and what they're going through. Even something like Skypiea. Like a side character like Wiper is a important part of that. Like what he's going through, what his arc is really important there.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Oda has ever done it where it's like it's just about the Straw Hats. Like it's never really ever just been them. Right. And when I say ever, I really mean some of the very early arcs. That might not be completely the case.
No,
but even like Orangetown, the Buggy the Clown stuff, Shushu, I mean, is an important character, and all those little side characters.
Okay, so you can rank it. So you can rank them on a scale, then say from 1 to 10 of how much it is about the Straw Hats.
You're stealing. I'm trademarking or copywriting this or patenting this system. Ed, what's next?
The next one comes from Football Paratonos, who says, "You are going on an expedition trip to Antarctica. You can only bring 3 other One Piece characters with you. Who are they and why?" Choose wisely because Antarctica is a cold wilderness.
Chopper.
Survival.
Both emergency food.
Outside.
Both emergency food, emergency shelter. Thank you, Stephen.
Brooke, because he can't die in the cold.
So at least one person is going to survive.
Yeah, I don't really get how that helps.
No,
me.
He can use his astral projection to call for help.
That's true.
Help! It's a 3-week voyage coming soon.
Now I want to see a Last Jedi parody with Brooke, just taking that place in that scene. I'd kill for that. Steve, are you listening? He'll kill me. Yeah, I don't know. What else? Who else do you want in Antarctica?
Capone, because then you can just hang out inside.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has a great ship. Yeah. I guess the question is, if they could bring their ship, who has the best ship? The Big Mom Pirates probably have an edible ship, so that's a big
the
plus.
Ice Witch, Whitey Bay, of course.
Oh, God. Yeah, anyway, let's go to the next one.
Take that, Whitey. Next one comes from Ross Manthorpe, who says, what one video game developer would you like to see take on a One Piece game? I'll leave this to the people who play video games.
Kojima.
Kojima.
Yes.
They could do like an old Navy story, like a pre-One Piece story.
Yeah.
That'd be the most convoluted
now-
piece of media in all of history.
It actually would be cool. A Kojima like marine drama.
Oof.
Starring Garp or something.
I would
Ooh.
say a game from the from Keita Takahashi, the Katamari Damacy guy, just to see what his version of the world of One Piece would look like.
The guys who did Uncharted or Assassin's Creed, maybe in like some sort of like hyper realistic looking one. I don't know. I don't play that many video games.
Shoot a lot of Marines.
Yeah, I mean it's actually not that different from the Pirate Warriors games.
Yeah, I mean, a Robin Tomb Raider game. Like that's just
Like my
Oh yeah, that would be
first thought
cool.
would be,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
my first thought was like Platinum, but that's already not that far from what we get out of Pirate Warriors.
I don't mind the idea of just something completely different in the One Piece world. Anyway, what's next? Yeah.
The next one comes from QuipQuest, who says, would Sabo and Hodi's shipping name be Sabaody?
Wow.
That's good. Next one comes from Ice Rider 50. If a major event in One Piece happened as a musical, which one would work and which ones would not?
It wouldn't be Sabaody. It would be Hobo.
Well, you're like one behind there. Not a big musical person, so I can't really help with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Into the Woods, and it's the beginning of Whole Cake Island. Because it's the Seducing Woods. Yeah, not many people here like podcasts, like musicals on the podcast.
No, I hate podcasts. No, I'm kidding. What's next?
All right, next one comes from TaylorMade DP, who says, this might be a bit late, but who do you guys think the last two giants will be? My money is on Goldberg and Loki, since they were the other two that were mentioned in Big Mom's flashback and were born on the same day as Roto.
It won't be Loki, because Loki is the prince or king of Elbaf, and I doubt he's on
Yeah.
Hiruden's crew.
Yeah.
So, Goldberg.
The goalie!
Goldberg.
Goldberg. Anyway, I hope he's bald like the wrestler. I really hope that there's another wrestling, like a big tribal tattoo on his arm.
Would not be surprised.
Big Jewish.
Oda is a big wrestling fan, so.
And last one comes from our very own Dark King Zoro, who says,
Brian.
How many-
Brian Newton.
"Yes, I know, but he's our Dark King Zoro."
Okay.
Brian Newton rose emoji. Anyway, how many other continuous one-shots Oda has drawn in the series? Also, the giant pirates have the best designs.
How many other
Continuous one-shots?
Oh, I guess it's just like I don't even know what he means by that.
Brian, come on the show and explain
Yeah,
yourself.
Brian, you could come on the show.
Oh, yeah, you've been on enough lately.
That's gonna do it for Piece Together. Thank you, Ed and Steven, for all of the help there. Let's go into rounding the show off and a little bit of trivia.
All right, we got trivia.
Let's do it.
「ほら前に大切な君が待ってる」
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 511 for March 19th, 2018. Thank you all for coming on the show. Remember, please support us on Patreon at patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. Lots of cool stuff coming up this week and next week. As, believe it or not, March is coming to a close kind of soon. So yeah, you got that to look forward to. Again, subscribe, patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it for things that I need to plug, but you guys all have stuff to plug. Godswill, where could people find you? Where could people find where your good work?
Yeah, I am social media coordinator at Funimation, so you can, of course, find me tweeting for Funimation at Funimation wherever, official Funimation with the check marks. And then also you can find me personally on Twitter. I am at GeneralG23. I also have Instagram where I'm starting to put some pictures on it. So you can find me also at GeneralG2. You can see the tattoo video that we mentioned earlier on both channels.
Thank you, Godswill. Yeah, please check that out if you have not. Let's go, Sam.
They can find me on Twitter at Lucky Chainsaw. They can find me on AnimeNewsNetwork.com doing the daily streaming reviews for One Piece. Dragon Ball Super is almost over, so it's going to be changing out soon. And Black Clover. And you can find me on the One Piece Podcast every week doing the anime recaps.
Thank you, Sam. Can't believe that shows. Why are they ending Dragon Ball Super? I mean,
because they're going to do a movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then probably do more after, but
probably.
I would hope, because it just seems like a money machine. It's like, why?
Oh, yeah.
Why would you stop?
I mean, you have countries celebrating your stuff, so
I saw that.
Yeah,
10,000
money.
Oh my god, the 10,000 fans are. Where was it, in Mexico or which country? I don't remember.
Chile and Mexico. I saw videos from both.
Okay.
yes.
Wow. And the Dragon Ball and One Piece fans I see all over the place. Hopefully more One Piece fans. So
one day.
Yeah, check all that out from Sam. Steven.
You may follow me on Twitter at Translatosaurus for pictures of my cat and the occasional gripe about what I do.
And Ed, where could the good people out there find us?
You're Zach_Logan on Twitter. I am Edward E. One Piece, where you can see me tweeting random screenshots of weird stuff I find in old OVAs that I watch. But also the podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. Reddit.com/r/OnePiecePodcast to leave us in peace together. And you can subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe on Google Play, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Or call us on our phone number, Zach.
That phone number is 347-497-MAGI.
Machi.
That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime with your questions, comments, and theories. Please let your friends know to listen to the One Piece Podcast, subscribe, as everything that Ed just said. Please do that. We want to spread the gospel of One Piece far and wide. So why don't we round off with some trivia? Godswill, I don't know if you played trivia with us once, I think.
Yeah, once, and I lost very quickly.
Well, you might have a little bit of a better time this time, but for those of you who are listening for the first time, what we do at the end is we play trivia. Everyone here has to guess all the characters or terms or whatever it may be in a specific One Piece related category. They will have a certain amount of time to do so. If they get it wrong, repeat, or can't think of an answer, they are out. Whoever is last standing, I will owe a donut. They have to keep track as to how many donuts I owe them. Because I'm not, and I should have been, but that's my bad, but it is what it is. So to celebrate your tattoo, Godswill, I thought we would do the Sun Pirates. Former, current, any members of the Sun Pirates that have passed through as Sun Pirates as far as we know.
Okay.
Oof.
So there's not too many, so this shouldn't take a ton of time. So we're going to go in the order we did our manga recap. So it's going to be Sam, Steven, Godswill, and Ed. Ready to go, Sam?
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead, Sam.
Jinbei.
He is one of them, yes. Steven.
Fisher Tiger.
Godswill.
Arlong.
Ed.
Kurobi.
Karubi. Isn't Karubi? Anyway, I'll
No,
take it.
Kurobi.
No. Yeah.
Karubi? I can't pronounce anything.
It stands for black belt. That's just what it means.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, I'm a Karubi. Sam.
Hachan.
Godswill.
Dang, I was hoping you were
Oh,
gonna
wait,
say
Steven.
Oh wait, no,
Stevenson.
it's my turn.
Stevenson.
Okay.
Hyozo.
That's
no.
a new Fishman pirate.
That's a new Fishman pirate.
Oh, that's a different. Oh, okay. Well, okay, fine. Whatever.
Sorry, Steve. He's so mad. Godswill.
Hody wasn't one. Dang it. I don't remember any other ones.
No?
No.
Okay. Who do we have left? Ed.
Chew.
Yep. Sam. 2
Macro.
remaining. Yep. Just trying to find him. Ed.
Hammond.
No.
No.
No. Sam is
Aladdin.
our winner.
Oh,
You missed. So. Wait, Sam, do you
yeah,
want to go for more, Sam?
he did. He
Huh?
said it.
Aladdin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few more though. Do you since you won? Do you want to try and guess them?
I feel like I've said there's the macros two guys. I guess,
Koala.
right?
Can I just say koala?
Koala
Does she
counts.
count?
I would
She
Oh,
does?
it does count.
kind of.
Well, she counts?
I mean, like that's one of the. I
You
put
would
in
have accepted
parentheses.
it.
I would have accepted it. I put in
Okay,
parentheses.
I didn't know
though.
she was a pirate. I thought she was just saved. Okay.
Kind of like I think
Yeah.
didn't
She's
they
got the
say
mark.
at the end?
She
You know,
got the
she got the
tattoo.
tattoo.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Remaining that no one named: Wadatsumi, Praline, Kanashira,
Oh, the big head dude.
Pisaro, Gyaro, and Tansui. Who I still don't. Is he anime only? I don't think
those
he is.
are
Macro
the
has a couple
macro
guys.
guys.
Yeah, but
Is
all the
Wadatsumi-
macro guys were Sun Pirates, as far as we know. I believe.
Wadatsumi was a sun pirate?
He,
Or
he
or
is a Sun
now,
Pirate.
because-
Yeah, he is a Sun
Yeah.
Pirate.
Weird.
What is Wadatsumi,
Like, I wasn't
by the
sure
way?
if-
I've always wondered what he was.
Wadatsumi is a tiger blowfish fishman.
Oh.
Mhm.
He's
Okay.
So
he
he's
is
so
the,
big, he can
is
puff
bizarre.
himself up.
Do you guys want to try one more round? I have all the new Fishman pirates. If you want to try that,
Let's save this for next.
okay, we'll save it for next.
Actually,
week.
no. At this point, like, save it for a couple of months. Cause
Actually, let's do it on the Patreon if you guys are sticking around.
we gotta do a. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. Next week we're going to be back for chapter 899, and we also have an anime recap for. Is it 829, Sam?
Next week will be 829. Yeah.
Okay, I got that right. And until then, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Goodbye.
Right.
Hi.
Bye.
Steven, are you always yawning at the
That's
end
my
of
that's
these?
my Wadatsumi. Yeah, I'm always like, oh, we're wrapping up. Time to get stretched.
誰かと出会うために立ち止まらないさ俺の目に大切な君が待ってる
Oh, it's a new race of
Irisless,
people. We've only seen them on Oda's little maps before, but here they are in person.
They're
what-
the people. The people.
The
We need to get
people
some
people?
people eaters.